We are going live.
Are we
Okay.
Is it now?
Yes, we are live now. We can start.
My dear viewers, very good evening. I welcome all my viewers, those who are logged into our bandwagon of Education Pe Charcha from across India. I welcome all of you. And in fact, even those viewers who are logging in from across the world, I welcome all of you. This is Vivekananda, as you know, an author, academician, and public intellectual, the convener of Education Pe Charcha. My dear viewers, as we all know, we have a very important, rather valued partner under whose blessings and under whose aegis we are conducting this spectacular show, that is Dr. Shri Surendra Pathak, and I know the adjunct professor of Vidyapeeth University from Gandhinagar. So he is also a valued partner. We have Sabya Pathak, who renders her technical assistance, and of course Chandan Oronji, who is who prepares our posters. My dear viewers, I do have an immense happiness to just make this particular announcement that today's is our 49th session, and we do have a tremendous delight to make this particular announcement that when we began this particular show just last year, just out of sheer serendipity, because it was not a preordained or preconceived program, but nevertheless we have reached thus far. That itself, gives us a lot of delight, because the altruistic mission or the underlying motive is to impart education to the nation in whatever microcosmic manner we are capable of doing. We are sincerely, endeavoring to do that, and that's what gives us maximum satisfaction. My dear viewers, we do have, as usual, a very special achiever for our show today, who is doctor, who needs no introduction, but nevertheless, I would like to introduce him in a few lines. He is Dr. Birbal Jha, whom I have had the pleasure to portray as one of the living legends in my pioneer book in the world, that is the Living Legends of Mithila, where I had already portrayed Dr. Birbal Jhaji. And you can all know that since I have been I have been his biographer, so I am very much introduced to his ins and outs of his rags to riches story. Because you'd be surprised to know he was very unfortunate in terms of losing his father just barely when he was just years old. And you can well understand a boy from a very humble background had to toil till the land along with his mother. From that particular juncture, he has scripted a success story that inspires one and all. The founder chairman of British Lingua, Dr. Shri Birbal Jha, in fact, deserves salutations from one and all. As we will go on, we will progress into the show. We will be capable enough to unravel his overall persona. So here, just a small introduction before the question answer session starts. And I welcome Dr. Virbal Jhaji on our podium. He has been a founder chairman, of British Lingua, itself a brand today, because he single-handedly persevered all along to build this very brand, that is British Lingua. And the man, as I already you can well understand, the British Lingua itself has the very, you can say has a very goodwill of having championed or having been the brand ambassador to take English to every household, even especially in the rural areas. That has been the overall credibility, or you can say the goodwill that British Lingua enjoys. And the very person who has been architect for doing so is none other than Dr. Sri Birbal Jhaji. Now, as I already said, man who revolutionized the English teaching among the masses. I know I really enjoy or share a fraternal bonding with him as much as a linguistic affinity. So you can well understand that apart from enjoying that fraternal bonding with him, I do enjoy a linguist affinity too. So that is why there is some special bonding between both of us. I welcome Dr. Birbal Jhaji, who is the founder chairman of British Lingua, with this very first question. I very much welcome you, Dr. Birbal Ji. Now, my first question goes in this way. walking down the memory lane, could you let our audience know that how it felt to be plowing the land, or rather tilling the land, along with your mother in your babyhood days? I'm not even saying childhood, in your babyhood days, and while children going to school, I mean the feel, what exactly my question is. I want to know about the feelings of deprivation that that must have taken shape in your mind vis-a-vis the other privileged children going to schools then. Please, Dr. Birbal Jha, we very much welcome you today on this spectacular show of Education by Charcha. Dr. Shri Birbal Jha, please.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for inviting me to your special show, and that is Education by Charcha, a talk about education. So I'm very much delighted to be the part of your talk and your show, and that you have thought of me that I should be here. And thanks to all the audiences, those who are watching and those who may watch on the YouTube and other things. So I'm very much grateful to all of you. As regards your question, of course, no child would like to be in the field when it is a time to play, when it is time to learn something. So I was under an obligations, under compulsion here to work on the farmland along with my mother, as I had lost my father when I was barely 1 year old, as you said here. That is very true. And I didn't have a big piece of farmland either. Rather, whatever just a small piece of the farmland was there. So I had to work in the farmland to eke out the living. And my mother was there. So we had to struggle to make both ends meet. And it was a sort of compulsion to go there. However, I used to cry that I should go to school also. Because in my early stage of life, I could realize that education is something that can give a power, that can give a leonine personality to others. So education can bring about a change, since this is an element of a change in our life, whether it is personal change, whether it is societal change, whether you talk about social change. Of course, the beginning was not good, and, but it was in my. But again, I can say the God tested me, and I stood the test of the time. Okay, so that can brought about a strength in myself, and I'm strong enough to face any challenge in the life. I face different challenges, situations of the life, and I'm trying to tide over all these things. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Saab. Actually, I affectionately call him as Dr. Saab, just my younger brother like. So, my dear viewers, you have understood a boy who virtually, his upbringing, especially having lost his father at an early childhood, and, tilling the land or toiling along with his mother when he saw the children of his age going to school, whereas he was deprived of that. The sort of resolve, iron determination that grew in him, and he understood the value of education. And today, where he stands today is an object of envy for others. So the inspiration he derived in his babyhood, or rather on the threshold of childhood, that sort of inspiration, zeal, all these perseverance has taken him to this place. Great, Dr. Saab. I'm coming to the very, very next question now. After matriculation from from your village Sijol, my dear viewers, here it is a very opportune time for me to mention Sijol is the place from which Dr. Birbal Jha, actually he is born in that particular village. But that village has become extremely famous today because of his cousin, Dr. Shri Sandeep Jha. His first university has come up there in Sijol because of an entrepreneur of entrepreneurs, Dr. Sandeep Jha's, Himalayan effort to build up a university, first private university in Bihar, in Sijol, in Madhubani district. Sijol has become a household name in the entire region of Mithila. So Dr. Birbal Ji too belongs to that particular village, and Dr. Sandeep Jha, who is entrepreneur of entrepreneurs, happens to be his brother, his cousin. So coming to the next question, very great. After matriculation from the village Sijol, you shifted to Patna, where, if I am not wrong, you even had to sleep on pavement or on footpath with a brick under your head. Although it is painful to look back, yet the solidity of resolve that we see in today's Dr. Birbal Jha had its origin from that footpath where from you scripted your success story. Your take on this, Dr. Birbal Jha ji, please.
Continue.
Okay. Uh, Dr. Birbal ji, am I adequately audible to you?
Yes, 100% you are audible to me. Please go ahead.
Okay, my dear viewers, I do express my apology because some sort of technical snags, happened at our esteemed guest end, and therefore some disruption was there. I'm profusely apologetic for the same. Dr. Birbalji, I have to start the second question yet again because of the disruption. Possibly, we will get this portion edited, no issue. Coming to the second question, which I am recapitulating for the clarity of your understanding. So it was the question, after matriculation from your village, that is Sijol. My dear viewers, once again, I would like to here make a special announcement that Sijol today is very popular, especially in the Mithila region. It is situated in Madhubani district, and it has become extremely popular because of a private university having sprung up there, which has been founded by an entrepreneur of entrepreneurs from Mithila, Dr. Shri Sandeep Jaji, chairman of Sandeep Foundation, who happens to be a cousin of Dr. Birbal Jhaji. So that he is no Sujol has become very popular now, and Dr. Birbal Ji traces his genesis from Sijol. Now coming to the question again. So after matriculation from the village Sijol, you shifted to Patna, where, if I am not wrong, you even had to sleep on the footpath, that is pavement, with a brick under your head. Although it is painful to look back, yet the solidity of resolve that we see in today's Dr. Birbal Jha had its origin from that pavement of Patna, where from you scripted your success story. Your take on this, please.
Well, thank you so much, sir. This is very true that after writing the 10th board exam that concluded on the 25th of March in 1988, I left for Patna from a village on the 3rd of April in 1988 before my result was published. So I came down Patna for the two reasons. One was that I should be able to find some job so that I can earn some livelihood, and at the same time, I would go for my further education because in my village, so there was no further education facility was not there on the time. So now there is now the class 12th, 11th school is there, but on the time it was not there. So in order to gain my further education, that was called college education after 10th board, I came to Patna. But I didn't have any financial backup here. I had barely 27 rupees 50 paise in my pocket in order to travel and to come down here. So of course, I had to face the challenges and the hardship of my life there. I was very much amazed to see the big buildings, tall buildings in Patna, because I had never seen such buildings, etc. In my village, I had seen only thatched houses there. I never seen. Now buildings are there, Pakka buildings are all there, the brick build houses are there on the time. So when I came to town, only I saw it for the first time. When I came to Patna, so I traveled by bus for the first time. So I puked a lot, I vomited a lot. And many people asked me here to go back. I didn't say, no, I won't go back. I would go to Patna and I would make my further life there from there. So when I came there, then again in Patna here, there was one a tea stall of my one of my villagers. So I came seeking shelter there. He was Mr. Achelal Yadav. And I didn't write any address, but it was in my memory. I would go there and I would make my further life there from there. So when I came there, then again in Patna here,
Voice is not coming. Your voice is not coming, Dr. Birbalji. Your voice is not coming. Birbal ji, your voice is not coming.
It may be the
Birbal ji, voice is not coming.
hello.
Hello. Birbal ji, voice is not coming, please. I don't know why your voice has been muted. Please adjust it. Hello. Dr. Birbal ji, Savya ji.
उन्होंने फिर से 2 अकाउंट से ज्वाइन कर लिया है.
नहीं, वो the mobile just hello, just again it went off. Okay, and I've come. Am I audible sir now?
अभी
Please.
आपका आवाज.
Am I?
Intermittent problem is popping up. Why it is getting done by 2 mobiles? Please do it from one computer or any one.
No, computer
one
went
window.
off now. Computer went off now. It is just I'm using on mobile only. Am I audible, sir? Now
Yes, yes.
So
I'll be using mobile only. I'm not going to start the computer. It was switched, went on. Am I audible, sir? Clearly?
yes. Now you're audible.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So just I was saying in the briefing about my journey there in Patna, and I started a course sleeping on the pavement on the food part of Patna. Then I managed to get a job at a hotel. It was not a hotel, in fact, it was a restaurant, a small eatery. Then I worked there. Then again, it was a long story about my life there. Then I began to work at one place that was Murlidhar place. I began to work there as a PN. And then my result was published of the 10th board. Then I enrolled at a college there in Patna. Then I began to gain my further education. And in between, I began to strengthen my English also so that I could see a change in my life. That was there in my coming to Patna. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot for for just going down the memory lane and sharing your very the sort of miserable days that finally shaped your career. And today we know Dr. Birbal Jha, all because of what transpired in those years. Thanks a lot. I'm straightway coming to the next question. It is a very important question. It was a 1,000 miles journey. You founded British Lingua in Patna.
Right.
How
Right.
that inspiration to teach the students the English communication actually fructified. Means we want to know the sort of motivation that in fact that came to you to teach English communication to such a huge number of students. Your take on this, please.
Thank you so much, sir. In fact, it was way back 1993 when I established British Lingua with the aim of helping the people improve their English communication skills. But I must tell you frankly, I didn't know English earlier. Till class 10th, I was not good at English because I learned ABC of English in class 6. When I was a village boy, I went to a village school. But after writing my 10th board exam, I began to improve my English communication skills. When I was in Patna, I found many of my college friends, they were not able to speak English. They were struggling to get a job, and they didn't get a job because of their English communication skill, because of their poor English communication skills. And in between, I read somewhere in a newspaper that only uh, zero point 0.5 means just half of a percent of a population in India knows English, which has now come now 10% English knowing population in India now we have. So it somewhere gave me an idea that I should help the people. Moreover, I could remember Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, Dr. Ran Prasad. I had read his biography. I had read here Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography. That English somewhere works as, milk of Linus, one who drinks it begins to have a leonine personality, since it is an empowering element. And Bihar was, of course, were known for not knowing English, though there have been so many scholars from Bihar. Because you see, Bihar is the only state where pass without English, 10th board exam, still is effective. In more than 50 years, following the Lohia school of thought, Karpuri division is still that is in everybody's mind here. But without English, one cannot do better. It was such a realization. When I begin to think here that what I can do for my society, what can I do for myself? So there was an idea that cropped up in my mind here. I should be picking since I had earned some knowledge of English language over the time, I would separate an organization meeting the social requirements. And it could be my career also, but I become more socialistic in this regard. And I begin to teach English others. When I begin to impart English training to others, a good number of the students begin to come to me because they found some changes. So I gave a shape of an organization that British Lingua came. And since they have been working, and I'm very happy today that millions of the students have benefited from my organization, from my books, from my magazine I used to bring out. Educating somewhere the social requirement is an element that we begin to look for, we begin to do something. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, now is audible. Actually,
yes.
Spotlight should be on Dr. Birbal Jha, not on me. Actually, I'm not seeing him.
Am I visible, sir?
Sabbaji, the spotlight should be on him. I'm not seeing him, please.
नहीं, don't worry.
Okay. Please go ahead.
Do you have a next question, sir? Hello.
So you, Birbalji, you have finished your version, your
yes,
answer.
I'm done with this. I'm done with your second questions. Please go ahead with your next question.
Should I go ahead with the next question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. So now I'm coming to a very important question, my dear viewers. Actually, Dr. Birbal Jha, our very esteemed guest today, he wrote a very important book, as already informed just at the beginning of this particular program, that Dr. Birbal Jha ji has tried or sought to revolutionize, especially the rural hinterland, in as much as the students coming in drove from different parts of India, especially Eastern zone, to study English communication from him. So to encourage and inspire such a huge army of students, Dr. Birbal Jha ji had written a very important book. The name of the book, is English Boli. So my question goes in this way. I just wanted to inform my dear viewers about this very important book, especially for teaching the communication skill to even those students who basically, came to him with an empty slate, with a clean slate, having no foundation or template of English communication. So even for those students, he wrote a very important book. The name of the book, now question goes, your drama English Boli is based on the impoverished English communication skill. I mean to say, for those whose communication skill is not up to date, or those who are very much at the nascent stage. So of the people of rural hinterland, losing vis-a-vis their urban counterpart. Means this is the scenario that is being depicted in that book. Now the question is this. While the class was on, my dear viewer, this is very important information that needs to be disclosed. Sri Chetan Bhagat, one of the very important novelists of this country, he had the privilege of visiting, or rather, he visited British Lingua then, while Dr. Birbal Jha was taking class. Now, very important. So there is a controversy that Sri Chetan Bhagat's half girlfriend is based on the same concept which is incorporated in that book, famous book, English Boli. Now I am coming to the question now, since I have already given the information pertaining to the visit of Chetan Bhagat at British Lingua's office or institute in Patna. Now the question goes, Bhagat visited your institute in 2011 and witnessed the environment in the class, took your novel that you wrote and plagiarized it to make his own novel, Half Girlfriend, based on your book. Your take on this, please.
Well, that's very true. That I wrote a drama book, namely Englishia Boli, long back. And I was in Patna holding the classes there. Mr. Chetan Bhagat had come here. We have all the substance and proof, all that. And he got a copy of that. So when you read my drama, that is Englishia Boli, and when you read his book, his novel, that you'll find, of course, so his novel is a replica of my drama here. And he had got at that because everything is the same. I wrote in a version of the drama, and he did in the form of the novel there. So there was, of course, the reports in the media and all that. Okay, but again, that many people asked me here to pursue a case and all that. Okay, so we didn't do that because I got many sessions and all that. All right, I'm here from. But of course, when you go there, you'll find the same thing here. My book was much earlier that I had done much earlier. I got all this. It was available in the website and all that. That it was released, all that. But it is okay. Many people here do like that. You give some theme, you copy something, they had done. But that should not be appreciated in a better school of thought in our country or anywhere in the world. But sometimes some people do that. Don't mind now what he has done is okay. I'm moving on. Thank you.
Great. So, my dear, now I'm coming to the very next question. Your British Lingua became popular and drew a large number of students to your institute. How could you make this revolution possible? My dear viewers, it would be apt here at this very crucial juncture to inform, and as I already informed all of you, that Dr. Birbal Jha is being credited for having revolutionized, the English communication skills, especially among the masses, and that too from downtrodden class. So how did you make, in some way or other, this revolution feasible? Please.
Well, thank you so much. You see, you do something when you have some strong conviction to do something. So I had developed an urge to do something for society. And India lives in village. India does not live in a few pockets of the town. So if English has to offer something, it must reach the common man. And that was in my thought here, that it should reach the common masses in the country, more particularly from the state I come from, that is Bihar. So by bringing out my books, publishing books, magazines, branches, students, teachers, I began to impart the training to teachers. I created a clusters of the trainers, imparted training. I wrote here my training methodology, that English theme, the structural interactive method. So I introduced that in my classroom here. The trainers were trained, the first of all, and they were put into the service. I was leading them. I've been leading them to take this to the masses of people, because India will wake up, India will prosper only when its people from all quarters of the society do something. They wake up, they get a chance, they gain something. So let everybody have the fair share of what they deserve in their life. Only then. So to bring a revolutionary change about a society. Education is something that can do. And English education cannot be gainsaid because it holds much water. We know this thing. With the passage of the time, with the advance of times, science and technology, the importance of English has risen manyfold. I hope you'll all agree with that. Therefore, there should be communication. Moreover, the government of India in Vivek 1963 brought a legislation, a bill that was an official language act in the country, where three language formula has been accepted here, it has been introduced here, it has been implemented here. So every citizen of the country must learn at least three languages. English is one of them. Since India is a multilingual society where 1,652 languages are spoken, it's not possible for one to know all the languages, but there has to be one linked language. English is working as a linked language in the country, and it is compulsory. Moreover, you'll be surprised to learn. Later, I wrote a book, English for Social Justice in India. Why? Because if you go to the top court of India, where English, you will be heard only in English. You won't be heard any vernacular or Hindi language. So justice is delivered from the top court in India, always in English. What about the common man if they don't know? And this was the idea in my mind here. Let the advantage of English language percolate down through the lower strata of the society. Only this country can prosper. And that has been my aim. And I'll keep doing all these things, what I have fixed in my
Yeah, great. My dear viewers, it is very important here to make just to make an observation. I met Dr. Birbal Jha 2 decades back while he was presiding over the destiny of British Lingua in Patna. And means then when I conversed with him, even though he might not remember it, but I do have a vivid recollection of that particular meeting. At that point in time, the way of his communication and the way he communicates today, I can feel, I can discern, the sort of oceanic difference between the Birbal Jha and Dr. Birbal Jha I met decades back in Patna, and Dr. Birbal Jha I am meeting to, couple of years back and today. So there has been a sea of difference. My dear viewers, I too have taught British Chartered Accountancy, having marched shoulder to shoulder with a lot of British professors, but I could not acquire the British accent, the perfection of which Dr. Birbal Jha is epitomizing today with a sort of pronunciation and accent that makes him the hero of communication in today's contemporary times. Coming to the very next question, Dr. Birbal Ji, how the idea of shifting British lingua from Patna to that of Delhi took a tangible shape in your mind, and you began spreading your wings to the national capital. Your take on this, please.
well, very honestly speaking, there are the two reasons behind that. Of course, everybody wants to see that if you want to govern the entire country, you should be somewhere in the national capital. That's one thing. But my situation of coming to national capital was not very planned. It was unplanned one. It was in 2004 when I was kidnapped in Patna, when there was a Lalu Rebri regime was there in Bihar. During that regime, so, the law and order situation of Bihar had reached its nadir. Now, thousands and thousands of the doctors, professors, engineers, educationists left for good. They shifted to the different country. When Kota was born, you can say, as an education hub and etc. It was because of Lalu Yadav's regime on the time. I was one of the victims of the situation on the time that I had to leave Patna overnight. And then was in my mind all the time, I would be in education, I'll be doing. Sometimes it happens here, the blessings in disguise. It's happened with me here. Okay? And I again fortified my situation. I fortified my foothold, which I got here in Delhi. And again, just I kept working here are also able to benefit from it here. And that way. And of course, coming to Delhi was good thing because I got the national exposure here. And of course, here in Delhi, I'm serving the people from the different parts of countries. Sometimes when the foreigners comes also to learn English, people from Nepal, Mongolia, and other places, they also come to my office here. Moreover, my heart remains here in Bihar. So I go there time to time. I've created a band of trainers that imparting the training. However, during the coronavirus, the things have taken a very ugly shape. But then again, I am trying to here now bring back everything on the track, the things that go. That's all. Thank you, sir.
Great, Dr. Saab. In fact, so it's a scintillating sort of interaction going on, my dear viewers, because the way every single word that he speaks, it comes from from the master of a communication. He has been teaching he has already taught thousands and thousands of students, on the English communication. So the way he speaks, every single word he pronounces has its own relevance. So today, I'm sure the viewers who are already logged in with us at this juncture, and those who will eventually view this video, especially for the student community, for the executives, this video would be of tremendous relevance and beneficial to them. How he pronounces the words, accent part, diction part, all of them cumulatively contribute towards making an accomplished communicator that he is today. Coming to the next question, Dr. Saab, this is a very important question for the students community, for the executive. You claim to have taught and trained lot many people from the different backgrounds on English communication and got them placed in corporates as well, from call centers to different to MNCs. You placed your students. So how such a mammoth task was undertaken and plausibly accomplished? Your take on this?
Well, thank you, sir. You see here, we'll have to change according to the spirit of the time. We cannot be orthodox all the time here. As you see, the job market has taken a drastic change post 1990 that you call, say, globalization. Now, the government opportunity in the government sector, then the private sectors are the alternatives where the people go. Youth would be going there. And of course, I have been imparting here adult education. This I have been involved in andragogy, not pedagogy. Okay. So andragogy is my subject, imparting education to adults. So I'm upskilling, reskilling, frisk skilling here. Now, so there have been requirement of the use in the call center when there is a boom of the call center in India, as lakhs of the lakhs of students now got the advantage of the time here. Moreover, the opening of the MNCs and etc. I'm very much happy. Just several thousands of the students have worked in the call center, working in the MNCs. When I go to the airport, I find many of my students there. When I travel by train, I find then also many of the students. When I go to some restaurants, when I go to some other company, I find my students there. Very recently, I had been to Mumbai and I found many of my students there. So, in order to understand the spirit of the time and just help them accordingly, should be the task. And I took up this one in order to help here the younger generation get what they deserve. And in that course of the time, you see, whether the call center, whether the government offices, in the private sector, MNCs, and overseas, then many of the students of British Lingua you'll find abroad. Because English is a window on the world. Once you have learned English, you get a window on the world. You can view in that way. As many of the students at Delhi University is there, many of the professors have been the students of British Lingua. So is the case with the different sectors. So our student is not in one sector. Our students are in the different sectors of the society, and this because it's not only here that we give them all these things, it's because we open the window. Communication is something. When you get something, you begin to realize the world. You get access to what you have not even imagined. Once you have got, value-added communications. This is what I thought of and began to do, and I would be doing so. Thank you.
Great. So now I'm coming to a very important question. So my dear viewers, actually we are listening to a profound communicator who is trying to communicate to us the very exactitude of the very kaleidoscopic perspective of communication. Exactly, we have been listening to a very an immaculate sort of communication where every single word counts, and that should be in the rhythmic form, the way it is to be spoken. We are so we are trying to understand the very what you can say, the kaleidoscopic perspective of communication from a communication master. So this is very, very important session, and that is why I had a tremendous means I would say a privilege when I extended my invitation. And despite being extremely preoccupied, Dr. Shri Birbal Jha has readily accepted my invitation, and today consequently we can see the physical manifestation of a great communicator on our program today. Next question, I'm straightway coming to Dr. Saab. You have a different segment of students, that is the prominent section of which comes from rural background, especially from Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, because students that is coming to the question, many of whom cannot even speak Hindi, let alone English properly. What sort of methodology you adopt to make them graduate into a fluent English speakers? Please, your take on this.
And that's very interesting. Well, see, when a child is born, it speaks no language. And when a child is exposed to the particular environment, the child begins to pick up the same. Whatever you speak before it will pick up. Language learning has a different methodology. What I did the research and I came out with a structural come interactive method. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to learn a language, for that matter, English. Simply, when you are exposed to the environment here, that many people from Bihar go to West Bengal, they settle down there and they learn English. They learn Bengali. When they go to other places because of this environment. So what we do, under the banner of British Lingua, we create a kind of environment for them. We create a scene of when you are going to board a flight, when you are going to book a ticket, a different situation. That is a situational conversation. They should have the knowledge of the grammar also, because grammar gives you idea. What is it? This is a rule book. Grammar is a rule book. So you need to understand some rules. But it's not that you memorize only. Where to use and how to use. As the Panini said, Vikrante Vitripadante Shabdananiti iti Vyakaranam. A grammar explains words, where and how to use a word. And this is what we demonstrate. As every word maybe is viewed in 5 different ways. Every word has at least 2 meanings. One is a literal, another is figurative. For me, this is my hand. So this is a literal meaning of that. But if I say, the man sitting in my another cabin is my right hand, it's very important to me. So that is a figurative meaning. That will have the meaning. Now the phrases and idioms in the language, hand in hand, together. As this program is going on and we are hand in hand, we can say we work together, earning and learning can go hand in hand. So that is here again the phrasal use of that. Well, can you hand me a glass of water? Hand is a verb. We give the knowledge to the students how you know a word, but you don't know the different meanings of that word. How and where you can use all these meanings that one is required to know. We do not encourage translation or rote learning method. There are other way to use. So structure the pattern in this language. There's a pattern, and these patterns are very few. There's a noun pattern, adjective patterns, and verb patterns. So these three patterns have to be learned by one in order to understand language. And for which I wrote a book, Spoken English Kit. I have demonstrated all these English structures, how these are structured. As you make a break through using a cast, through using a frame. Similarly, you'll be able to frame the sentences when you know the pattern of the language. And these patterns are taught at our institute, at British Lingua. When they pick up the thing here, their mind gets programmed in English. So the thought process begins in English. So what do we do that? We allow them, enable them to have a thought process in English. They will start thinking in English. It's not here. They will first start thinking in Hindi and English. As you asked me the question, they don't know even Hindi. I didn't know even Hindi properly, right? So what happens? In order to learn one language, you don't have to learn another language. Translation is a comparative study. It's a comparison between two languages. You have to be versed in the both languages. Just sit aside. What we do, we give structures of an expose. Simply, any student comes to us, we say it very simply. You are born to a particular family where the particular language is spoken. Now you are going to be reborn to British Lingua. This family speaks English, so you will speak English. That is our philosophy. And we create a situation. We do not ever ask them to memorize the words, but they learn at least 25,000 words in 3 or 4 months' time. We develop mechanisms, whether using prefixes, suffixes, root words, etc. They will come to learn about it. And therefore, it is very easy for a student to pick up the thing and they begin to communicate very well. When they speak effortlessly. They don't have to now make any effort to speak something. Things would come from within and that they begin to have. So this is what our teaching methodology, we call in short English SIM. English SIM, a structural come interactive method. That's all. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Saab, after your illustration of this particular question, a question has just cropped up in your mind because you have been teaching communication for so many decades. And I rate you, and in fact, not only I, people have this perception that you have been one of the best communication masters, in the country, of course, in Bihar and Eastern region, undoubtedly. I have a question to ask. I have seen many people who are very good at writing, but when it comes to speaking, they invariably falter. So why that both the things cannot go simultaneously? That you are a proficient writer as well as an immaculate communicator. So where such categories of people who are very good at writing, but nonetheless they falter when it comes to communicating. So where you think that they are lacking, or what sort of how this shortcoming is to be overcome? Your take on this, please.
Thank you so much. That's a very pertinent question, and I appreciate this question here. I have seen here that many people, they know grammar rules, but they cannot write a good letter. There are many people who can write something very well, but they cannot speak something because of the exposure. They never participates in discussion debate. Number one, they have one psychosis, pure psychosis, and self-consciousness about, oh, if I speak something, I may make some mistakes. People would laugh at me. I would simply tell him in the classroom, is there a law on earth that can punish you for grammatical mistakes when you are going to speak something? I dare say, there is no law on earth that can punish you for your grammatical mistakes. So when you remove this psychosis from you, that you have to communicate. When you are going to communicate, your message should reach the people. It's not that what grammar you are going to speak and what words you are going to speak, your message should reach the people succinctly. If one has got this thought, it gets ingrained in the mind, it'll be interesting. Moreover, for a minute now, you are an intellectual. Tomorrow you will be linguistically conscious. Why you are linguistically conscious? Because your impression will be generation after generation. So you'll be tending to write well, you'll be to speak well. But when we write something, we have some time that we can recheck it. But when we speak something, we don't have the time. So let our mind speak on the time. And there are some basic structure of the grammar that we should be acquainted with. And once we are acquainted with, let us participate in more debates. As you are asking me the question, I'm trying to answer you. Similarly, when we have such a thought process as a debates, discussion, these are the integral part of our education system. Maybe if somebody is a good author, it means he or she has not participated in debate and discussion. Now, such a person should get involved in such discussions also in English and other language which is targeted at. And then this problem will gets overcome. And we can. So our communication should be objective. The message should be conveyed properly, and then the problem goes on.
Great, great. So actually, my dear viewers, actually, before I switch over to the next question, it becomes very important now that what the way you have seen, and those viewers who will eventually watch this particular video, we have seen that Dr. Birbal Jha, a communication master, actually he uses the words with lot of gestures and postures. So in communication, when he communicates, he is giving, some sort of underlying message that comes along with his communication, is that while you communicate, the very fundamental importance of gestures and postures cannot be overlooked. That becomes an ingredient or a vital part of any form of communication. And this is what our esteemed guest today has given an ample message, that too unambiguously, that it becomes very important, gestures as well as postures. Thanks a lot, Dr. Saab. I'm coming to very, very important question, because after this is a penultimate question for our show. Now, this is a very, you have come a long way from a village boy into an entrepreneur who inspires confidence among his students and those whose for whom English has always been a nightmare. I have seen many students in Mithila region and Bihar, when it comes to English, they try to hide behind the desk. So it is a big, or rather you can say a very formidable phobia for a particular segment, or for a vast segment of student community. So now the question comes, how would you like to describe yourself as a master of communication, right from your journey, when you took the very first step, and today when you have almost reached 800 steps, if not 1000. So how would you like to describe your journey? Your take on this, please.
Well, life is a beautiful, we should enjoy it. I would call it a beautiful journey of my life. And I'm trying to learn. I never call myself as a teacher, a trainer, a master of the language. I keep learning every day. The day is good when I learn something. The day is bad when I do not learn anything. I should keep learning every day. I should be doing. As far as the idea behind developing and being entrepreneur, social entrepreneur is concerned, you see, if everybody becomes a job seeker, a job giver, many of us will have to come forward to be entrepreneurs, to be job givers. And that was when I began to think of myself, whether I should go for a government job, I should go for a private job. I thought, no, I would neither for a government job nor a private job. Rather, I would have something on my own. And I will establish which will serve the society on the one hand, that will bring about a radical change in the society. On the other, that could be my social enterprise. And this is what I developed. And I founded British Lingua. I'm happy because many of the people are associated with this organization and they are also doing well. They are living a good life. That gives me a sense of pleasure. Moreover, via British Lingua, through British Lingua, that millions of the students have been able to change their lifestyle. Gives me again a sense of satisfaction. Of course, so many of us who have the guts and who want to create a good should come forward. Create a social enterprise, a business enterprise, industrial enterprise. This will come according to their taste, because they know accounting for taste. The taste always varies person to person. So you see what you feel good, and you feel good about something, you should be doing that. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Saab. Now, my dear viewers, we are coming to the last question now. It has been a spectacular show. Of course, I do offer my apology yet again for some disruption, but final video will get edited, and the sort of lapse which is apparent till now, that will be obliterated. But now I'm coming to a very important, before I ask this question to our very esteemed guest today, my dear viewers, it becomes very incumbent on my part to, just to share, by the sort of paragraph or the sort of story which we read at our matriculation stage. The story, pertains to one of the greatest politicians ever born in the country, in the world, Winston Churchill, the greatest Prime Minister of Britain, as per the poll conducted by BBC as to who was the greatest Prime Minister. The people of Britain, after decades of the expiry of Winston Churchill, chose Churchill to be the greatest Prime Minister. Churchill writes in one of the very important essays, one of the important essays that he had penned throughout his life, that is examination, wherein he had especially mentioned that, calculus, which we read in mathematics, was some sort of, a phobia, a monster. He uses this particular term, monster, was a monster for him. He could never negotiate with the nitty-gritty of calculus. Now, I had to quote this particular instance, which we came to know from one of his finest essays ever penned by him, examination. I am coming to next question because it had the relevance, of great Winston Churchill's, observation. Now I'm coming to you, Dr. Saab, because after this instance, citing of this instance was relevant for this question to be, put before you. Your message for those, because till now the discussions that we have had, is a vindication of your overall accomplishment that goes for decades together. You taught so many varieties of students, categories of students, and made even the, those at the bottom of the social pyramid, when it came to communication, you gave them ample confidence, made them speakers. So that, that gives you, that's, means honor, and of course, the respect of being a communication master. So, it is a very important message for all the students who are languishing now when it comes to communication part. I want your message, which will have a tremendous amount of relevance for those class of people or students, that the question comes now. Your message for those who have a phobia for English and consider it as a monster, much like Winston Churchill, who considered calculus as a monster, which he could never negotiate with, with your take on this, please, Dr. Saab. It will have a tremendous relevance, my dear viewers, from an expert, Dr. Birbal Jha. Please.
Well, thank you. Your question is very clear to me. I would love to answer this one. Learning English should not be treated as a burden. It's not be treated as a monster. Rather, it is one of the languages that we can lay our hands on and we can master it very easily. As you know one language, you can know another language. If in India, who are youth there, I would say you are much privileged. But in line, that is a monolinguistic society. People speak one language. In India, people speak 3 or 4 languages. Suppose you need to learn a language and where it is required around 25,000 words. So in England, people know only 25,000 words. In India, if you know 3 languages, it means you know 75,000 words. So your long RAM is much bigger and it has more capacity. Therefore, you should never develop an inferiority complex. Oh, I don't know English. No, you know only one language. Your brain is working properly. Your mind is very good. You are very good. You can add another language also to your life. The proof is that English has spread across the world like anything. Had it been so difficult, nobody would have picked up it. Since it is people across the world have picked up, they are learning, they have learned. In India also, we Indians are much faster, we are much better. We are much better. I remember here Subhash Chandra Bose when he said to an Englishman, I can write English much better than an Englishman does. Yes. So we people can do much better than Englishman do. English is no longer an alien language in our country. It becomes a language in our country. Moreover, it has become a skill thanks to the Department of Labor and Employment in the government of India, where and under the skill training program, English has been regarded as a skill. It is a life skill. Life skill means as cooking, driving, cycling, etc., are needed in order to live a smooth life. Similarly, English communication is your life skill, which you need to have. Without that, you cannot lead a good life. Because everywhere you find English words, English communication. It is never too late to learn anything. Start it from today. Just after a few months, you find you have gained a sense of confidence yourself. You have started communicating to others. You'll have the people appreciating you because you are communicating in much better time. Moreover, you'll have a self-confidence. When you have gained a sort of confidence in yourself, you can do pinnacle. You can do a lot. Things will be happening as the wonders do happen in our life. You'll find wonders happening in your life. And that will happen. Not a difficult. Moreover, science says, as it is scientifically proved also, you are brainy and brownie if you learn more languages. So if you learn at least 3 or 4 languages, much better for your mental growth also. And this is true. As millions of the people in India speak, they have learned, why can't you? You are not the different one. Do you think it is difficult? Because when you have not laid your hands on something, you will find it is far off from you. It's difficult for you. People have such psychology that you should not have such a psychology in yourself. Just begin to do something. And beginning is doing something. Once you have embarked on the project of learning something, you will very much quick. God helps those who help themselves. So if you begin to do something, if you take the initiative, that is only delay, find coming on the track. God is there to help you. And India is a beautiful country where from different cultures, from different languages, it's good. And that course you'll do here. How you'll earn a sort of confidence in yourself to rebuild yourself, to re-energize yourself. And communication must be powerful. It is communication that brings about a change, that gives a leadership personality. It is communication that leads others to do something. Whether you are a doctor, engineer, anything, but what leads you to do something? What leads you to think something? It's communication. You have never seen Gandhi, you have never seen here Pandit Nehru, because they died much before you have come to this world. But how? You know them. It is through the communication, the different modes of the communication in the world. We value your communication. And that too in English. It's not that you should dislove your Hindi. It's not that you should develop your mother tongue. Let us love our mother tongue. Let's love our Hindi. Let's our another language. At the same time, as English has become a required skill, as you use computer, as you use mobile set, you like it. Similarly, you should like English also. It will help you. Thank you.
Fantastic, my dear viewers. We have seen today. You can well understand what exactly we have noted. And all of you, those who are very much logged in with us, must have seen a boy's journey from a very, very remotest place of India, a non-descript village. He has scripted a successful story of being nationally renowned, or even, as the time passes, will be known across the world. But and that too, the perseverance has come, with a single-minded focus onto evolving himself as one of the finest communicators of our time and era. That itself makes Dr. Birbal Jha something spectacular. And this session also, of course, unequivocally would be evaluated by all those who are watching, logged in with us up till now. Those who will eventually watch it definitely will find it a very, very spectacular session. I myself, am so very, glad to hear Dr. Birbal Jha communicating, with equal proficiency as I have seen in all top class British professors. So that has been his overall accomplishments, and the entire credit goes to him, a self-made man. So my dear viewers, indeed it was a very spectacular session. Before I pass it on, I invite Dr. Shri Surendra Pathak himself a matured professorial face in India and abroad, to sum up the communication interaction between between our esteemed guest and of course me. I would like to make just a very, very special announcement. As I said in the beginning of our today's program, that it is tomorrow. Next session will be a Golden Jubilee celebration. As we had a very unique and spectacular session today, we are looking forward to have another very, very important bedazzling session on Golden Jubilee session on next 11th of June. That is with the ambassador, Ambassador Shri Ashok Sajjan Har. He was a diplomat, he was an ambassador of Sweden, Libya, and of course he worked in the embassies of United States of America and in Moscow, and at so many places. He is going to be our very, very special guest on Golden Jubilee celebration of Education Pe Charcha. But today also we have had a guest who is a renowned face in the country today. The man who revolutionized English communication, and that too, especially for those students who are languishing at the bottom of social pyramid. British Lingua has been, you can say, some sort of nectar for them, a magical potion for them. They refused to, to British Lingua, and they graduated into a very, very accomplished speakers and communicators under the able stewardship and supervision of the founder of British Lingua, who is our distinguished guest today, Dr. Shri Birbal Jha, whom I have had the privilege of portraying in the pioneer book of living legends, that is the living legends of Mithila, as one of the very, very important living legends. And here, for one word needs one sentence, a particular anecdote needs to be shared with all of you. In 2016, when I wrote Yes, I Am Bihari, and it was launched by Honorable Chief Minister Shri Nitish Kumar ji, along with all his ministers and all his opposition leader, there I saw the great image of Dr. Birbal Ji juxtaposing with the statesman Prime Minister of India, so Honorable Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. So that is the stature Birbal Ji enjoys in Bihar. Of course, in Delhi, other parts too, but in Bihar, he has a very, very special status as being a revolutionary in the field of communication. Now I invite Dr. Shri Surendra Pathak ji. So, Dr. Shri Surendra Pathak ji, please, आप आइए और थोड़ा सा हम आज का बारे में, हमारे गेस्ट के बारे में, उनके कन्वर्सेशन के बारे में बताइए. माननीय डॉक्टर श्री सुरेंद्र पाठक जी, प्लीज.
डॉक्टर बीरबल झा जी, आपको नमस्कार. आपके पूरे इंटरव्यू को सुनने के बाद समझ में आया कि किस प्रकार से कोई व्यक्ति सेल्फ मेड होता है. आपने एक छोटी आयु में अपने पिताजी को खो दिया था और इसके बाद एक बड़े संकल्प को लेकर आप समर्पित रहे, और ये बात बिल्कुल आपकी लाजमी लगती है कि अंग्रेजी भाषा का ज्ञान ना होने के कारण से बहुत अच्छे प्रतिभाशाली बच्चे जो हैं वो पिछड़ जाते हैं. यदि उनको, जैसा कि आपने लोगों को अंग्रेजी भाषा में दक्ष बनाया, और उनके अंदर का जो भय खत्म किया, और उसके कारण से उनके रोजगार के बहुत सारे अवसर जो हैं वो पैदा हुए। जैसा कि आपने बताया कि बहुत सारी एमएनसीज में, ओवरसीज में और गवर्नमेंट में भी, प्राइवेट सेक्टर में बहुत सारे विद्यार्थी आपके यहाँ से पढ़ने के बाद जो है निकले और उनको एक रोजगार मिला। इसमें एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बात है कि आप कम्युनिकेशन के एक बड़े विद्वान तो हैं ही, लेकिन आपने ये कहा कि मूल भाषा का मूल भाव ये रहता है कि जो भाषा है वो भास जाए, यानी संदेश पहुंच जाए। कई बार हम लोग ग्रामर के चक्कर में या उसके भय के कारण से अंग्रेजी बोलने का, उसका सही उच्चारण करने का और अर्थ को संप्रेषित करने के काम में पिछड़ जाते हैं, और मैंने ऐसे बहुत सारे लोगों को देखा है। इस भय को निकालना बहुत जरूरी था, और मुझे लगता है कि आपकी जो यात्रा रही, आपने लाखों, हजारों, लाखों बच्चों के मन से इस भय को निकाला। आपने न केवल पुस्तकें लिखी, उस पर रिसर्च किया और भाषा के स्ट्रक्चर को समझते हुए उसकी कम्युनिकेबिलिटी, उसकी संप्रेषणीयता को कैसे बढ़ाया जा सकता है और कैसे इजीली बच्चे उसको ग्रास्प करके उस भाषा के साथ जो है तदाकार हो सकते हैं, ये आपकी मूल रूप से उपलब्धि रही है। और ये भी आपने कहा कि जो राष्ट्रभाषा है या जो मदर टंग है वो तो जरूरी है ही, लेकिन उसके साथ यदि हमको एक विदेशी भाषा भी आती है जो शायद जोड़ने का काम करती है, ऐसा लिंक लैंग्वेज भी हम लोग कह सकते हैं, उसकी एक आवश्यकता आज के समय में लगती है। मदर टंग का अपना एक रोल होता है। इसके अलावा मैंने देखा कि आपने पाणिनि का भी उल्लेख किया, और क्योंकि मैं भी भाषा वैज्ञानिक हूँ, मेरी पीएचडी जो है लिंग्विस्टिक्स में सागर विश्वविद्यालय से रही है, तो मैंने अर्थ संप्रेषण क्षमता को काम किया है। और मुझे लगता है कि भाषा जो है वो विज्ञान से भी आगे की चीज है, क्योंकि भाषा ही से ही मानव अभिव्यक्त होता है और मानव सफल भी भाषा से ही होता है। भाषा के द्वारा ही वो अपने अंदर के जगत की प्रामाणिकता को सिद्ध करता है। और इसलिए मुझे लगता है कि भाषा पे काम करना, जैसा आपने काम किया, और न केवल काम किया, आपने जिन लोगों में उम्मीद नहीं थी कि वो अंग्रेजी भाषा को सीख सकते हैं, ब्रिटिश लिंगुआ के माध्यम से आपने एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनाया और उससे काफी बच्चों को फायदा हुआ, रोजगार मिला और एक कॉन्फिडेंस जो है उनमें बिल्ट हुआ। मैं आपके वक्तव्य में ये भी सुन रहा था कि बिहार में एक समय लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की खराब स्थिति थी और उसके कारण से बहुत सारे लोगों को जाना पड़ा बिहार छोड़ के, और आपने भी शायद दिल्ली जाने का निर्णय जो है इसी कारण से लिया। और मुझे लगता है कि आप जैसे लोगों की पूरे देश में आवश्यकता है जो अंग्रेजी के भय को लोगों के मन से निकाल दें। और मैं क्योंकि टीचिंग प्रोफेशन से जुड़ा हूँ, मैंने देखा है कि बहुत सारे जो प्रोफेसर होते हैं या स्कूल के शिक्षक होते हैं, किसी ग्रामर के भय से या लोग उनका मजाक ना उड़ा दें अंग्रेजी बोलने के, इस कारण वो जिंदगी भर भाषा नहीं बोल पाते हैं। और आपने न केवल भाषा, उसकी कम्युनिकेबिलिटी और उसके प्रोनाउंसिएशन, उच्चारण के ऊपर भी बहुत सारा काम किया। जैसा मैं आपके उच्चारण को देख रहा था कि ब्रिटिश उच्चारण आपका है, और ये क्योंकि इंग्लिश का जो ओरिजिन है वो तो ब्रिटिश ही है, ब्रिटिश मूल है, तो ऐसा लगता है। तो मुझे आज आपकी बात सुन के बहुत ही अच्छा लगा। आपको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। फिर कभी मिलने का मौका मिलेगा तो जरूर आपके पास आऊंगा चीजों को और गहराई से समझने के लिए। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot, Dr. Surendra Pathak ji. Thanks to our very, very esteemed guest today, Dr. Shri Birbal Jha, a revolutionary, as what Dr. Surendra Pathak ji, while summing up our interface today, the very exact terminology that he has used, the British, as he was speaking, absolutely flawless British accent, pronunciation part, diction part, everything, he was just, in perfect balance. And this is what makes him a unique master of communication. And that is why today it was really a great privilege, for Education Pe Charcha to showcase a communication master like Dr. Shri Birbal Jha ji. And today what Dr. Surendra Pathak ji was saying, today from India we have got the best of writers like, so many people winning Booker, winning Nobel Prize. All these could be made feasible because of English communication. And Dr. Birbal Jha ji too happens to be a cog in that particular wheel. And that's why I outright dubbed him as a revolutionary who revolutionized the length and breadth of distant zone as well as different parts of the country, because students from different parts of the country today are availing the education facility, learning the communication skills from British Lingua. So British Lingua is a brand which has evolved today as a communication teacher, and the man behind that particular vision is none but Dr. Birbal Jha ji. Now, before I conclude and bid you goodbye, my dear viewers, again a special announcement, reiteration of the special announcement. On next Saturday at the 7 p.m., we have a golden session or golden jubilee celebration of Education Pe Charcha with one of the greatest ambassadors of all time, Shri Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar, to bless Education Pe Charcha right at 7 p.m. That session will be 7 to 8:30. Today's also was more or less the same. So we are going to watch and see and learn from greats, Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar ji, the way we have learned today from Dr. Shri Birbal Jha ji. With these words, I once again thank Dr. Birbal ji from the bottom of my heart, Dr. Professor Surendra Pathak ji from bottom of my heart, Sabya ji, for all technical assistance. I really wish her all the best, and just thank her and Chandan Orang for making posters. So with these words, I return all of you to studio again to be back on Saturday at the same time at 7 p.m. Thanks to all of you.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. नमस्कार.